What's going on? Welcome back to another Thursday Thunder. So, this episode, if you're tuning in, is the first time that I'm doing this like this. I'm streaming to multiple platforms, which is super cool. Allows me to get the message out to even more people. So, just testing through the tech, seeing that it all works. But if you're here, you see this, you hear me, all is good. Give me a comment wherever you're watching. Give me a comment. Say hello. I'd love to shout you out if possible. I have a really cool session here for you today that I want to talk about. And it's something that impacts every single person. It's something that can have a lasting impact on your life, on the trajectory of where you're going. And I think this is something that every single person should do. And if you did this, if you took this one concept and internalized it and thought about it deeply on a regular basis, I think you'd be a lot more successful. And so this is something that I've only recently started doing within the last number of months. And it's allowed me to have more progress in the last 4 months, the first 4 months of this year, than probably the last 6 months, 6 to 8 months of last year. I can say that with full confidence. I'm more productive. I get more done. I have more energy. I feel better about the things that I'm doing. And it's all around this one concept. And so I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I was sitting in with some of my Ascension members. This is a group that we put together of really high level entrepreneurs that are actively scaling and growing their wholesale businesses, and we provide them an absolute ton of support. And so we hop on every single week. We have topics every single week, and we have a lot of fun together. But the topic that I brought to them yesterday was around goal setting, but really breaking it down and making it so much more than that. So I'm going to share some of the things that we talked about, some of the strategies that came out of that conversation. And I also want to introduce you to something that I'm doing right now, putting into place that I cannot take full credit for. So if you're excited, I see a number of you hopping in now. Post a comment and just say, hey, what's up, Mike? How's it going today? I'd love to see some of these comments, and then we are going to dive right into it. I'm going to introduce this concept. I'm going to talk about the strategy, the system that I've been following, and how I'm actually going to use it to 3 to 5x my businesses this year. Awesome. I see some of those comments coming in. Amazing. Yeah. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Awesome. So something that I've been doing a lot of reading on and spending a lot of time with is this book right here. So it's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He's a fellow Canadian and an absolutely brilliant entrepreneur. He's exited 3 companies. He has over $100 million in his hold co, and he is an absolutely exceptional entrepreneur. Now, I don't know Dan personally, but I was introduced to this book by a number of recommendations from other people. And so I picked it up. I listened to it. I did the audio book. I listened to a lot of audiobooks while I'm getting things done around the house. It's actually one of the concepts he talks about in the book, which is net. And so this is the time that you're spending doing other things already. You can actually double up. And it's a Tony Robbins concept that he talks about in the book. But it's essentially the things that you have to do in your life anyway, or you want to still do in your life anyway, where you can double up your time, right? So things like going to the gym and working out, you could be listening to an audiobook, right? Mowing the lawn, cleaning the house, these types of things, cooking food, these types of things that we all have to do in our everyday lives or want to do in our everyday lives, you can double up and do other things while you're doing it. You can grow your mind, right? You can further your education. You could listen to a course, a book, whatever it is. So I listened to Buy Back Your Time, an audiobook first, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the frameworks, I loved the concepts, I loved so many things about it that I started listening to it a second time. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna get the hard copy. And so I read the hard copy, and now I actually last night I stayed up late and highlighted all of the concepts out of the book. So I'm really working this book. I've probably read it more times in this short period than any other book, and it's been absolutely incredible. So I want to introduce you to some of the concepts. I'm going to use some of my own terminology, some of Dan's terminology, but it's all around the same concept. And it's by starting with a really large goal or concept and working your way down, right? Taking out those bite-sized pieces and working it down all the way to a week by week basis and then a day by day basis, right? And so this makes it so much more palatable. It makes it so much easier to be able to actually fathom doing this, right? And so what it is, what the concept is, and the way that we do it is we're actually going to go ahead and create these massive goals. And so I call them, Steven from MPSH, I'm sure that a lot of you know. If you don't, my business partner at Marketplace Superheroes, we call them BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Right. And so these goals are larger than life. They're bigger than what you think is currently possible. Right. There's something that you probably can't see yourself the way you are right now achieving. And these BHAGs will generally have impact on other people in a big way as well. And so some examples of BHAGs that really successful people have done, right? Space travel, privatized space travel. So Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and others are currently working on and have been working on privatized space travel, right? They've sent people up in rockets, and their hope is one day that it's commercialized space travel where the everyday person can buy a ticket and space travel to wherever that might be, right? Ending world hunger, cleaning up and eliminating all garbage and waste in the world. These are bigger than life goals. These are absolutely massive goals. So whether your BHAG is that big and that impactful, where it could impact millions or billions of people, or it's just something that is life changing for you and people that you surround yourself with and know, it's important to have these BHAGs, these really large goals. So I want you to take some time and think about these goals, right? And so one of those goals, I'll share one of the goals that I have. One of the goals that I have is donate $1 million to charities and organizations that I care about over my lifetime. So it doesn't have to be this year, 5 years, 10 years from now. Over my lifetime, I want to donate at least $1 million, right? That's my minimum. So for me, I'm someone that hasn't given a lot to charitable organizations, right? I will give some money to homeless people. I definitely have given fives and 20s and things like that. When people come around and the different charitable causes, like I'll donate $20, $30, $40, something like that as well. And I've done other donations like Movember and things like that that participated where other friends were doing it, but I've never really donated in a big way. I've never donated thousands of dollars at a time. And so that's a goal that I have. And that's something that I need to start integrating into my plans. I need to start doing, right? You may have specific business related goals. You may have really personal goals. Maybe you want to retire your parents. You want to put your kids through college, right? These might be BHAGs to you, right? $1 million donated to causes that I care about is a BHAG for me. And so the concept is you start with this aligning goal, this big goal, this larger than life goal that you don't think that you're capable of achieving right now. and then you split it up, right? Give that goal a time frame, right? For me, it's my entire life, right? And so if I look at it and I say, okay, I'm going to live to age 90, age 100, well, then in what increments do I need to be giving that money? What causes do I need to choose to give that money to? Right? Because if I have the money and I just give it away, that doesn't fulfill part of it, right? The impact of charitable causes that I care about. Because there's probably millions of things that are important and I could give my money to, but it's what I care about, what I've been affected with, right? So I need to choose that time frame. I need to choose how that gets done. I need to figure out what resources that I would need. And then I need to go out and start making progress to make that happen. So I would say that if I'm going to die at age 100 and I'm 30 years old right now, I have 70 years to achieve this. So in 70 years, I need 1 million. So if I start breaking that out into bite-sized pieces and increments, well, then every year I can start to make progress towards that. And then I realize what organizations that I want to donate to, and I'm going to research them, and I'm going to make sure that they align with my values and my morals. Right. And so you start to do this, you start to break it down, you start to realize what team do you need in place, what resources do you need to have, what timeline are you working with, and when do you need to get these things done by. Right. And then once you have that, then you can start to understand how you're going to get there. Right. And in a lot of instances, whatever we're doing right now might be a means to an end. So if you're flipping shoes on Amazon, if you're selling wholesale on Amazon, you're selling private label on Amazon, you're working a 9 to 5, like whatever you're doing now, it might not be the thing that gets you to where you're going, but it very well might be as well. And that's okay. The point is that's okay. We don't have to have it all figured out today. And in fact, it will probably not play out the way that you think it will. But if you have these BHAGs, these massive goals in place, you have the idea in front of you of what you would like to do and how you're going to do it, how you're going to achieve it, then you can start to take those tangible and actionable steps. And so now you know what needs to be achieved. You have that as what I call your North Star, right? Your guiding principle. And so when things are going right, you think about your North Star and where you're going. When things are going wrong, you think about the North Star and you realign yourself to figure out where you're going. And then you start to break that down further. And so Dan talks about the perfect year. And he gives an analogy, and you may have seen different variations of this. But essentially, if you have a bowl, right? Think about it, a fish bowl, a large mixing bowl, whatever it is. And that represents your year, the time that you have in a year. And if you start to fill that bowl with really small things, right? The day-to-day stuff. If you're always just thinking about what do I have to do today? What do I have to do this hour? What do I have to do in the next 15 minutes? And you don't take the time to zoom out and look at the big picture, what's going to happen? Right? Let's pretend that we have rocks, like boulders, like big rocks. We have pebbles, and then we have sand. And so the sand is those small things, those minute tasks, those emails that you have to send, the meetings you schedule, right? Those small little details. And then the bigger pebbles are the bigger events that happen, right? These are going to be things in your life that you're going to want to do, you're going to need to do to move the ball forward, but they're negotiable, right? They're the things that make you progress in your life, in your business, but they're negotiable, right? If they didn't happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And then you have the big rocks, the boulders, those big pieces. These are your non-negotiables. These are the things that are most important, most near and dear to your heart, right? These are the non-negotiables. These are the birthdays, the anniversaries, the really big work conferences, whatever it might be. There are things that progress or propel you forward in a way that nothing else can, or they're mega important to you because they're related to the most important things to you, right? And so what the idea is if you fill your bowl with sand and then you try to add in afterwards these pebbles, these big rocks, these big boulders, well, you're not going to be able to fit very much in there because you've been worrying and stressing about these small little minute details your entire year. And as your year progresses and as that time fills, and then you're looking down, it's half full, and you're starting to add in the birthdays and the anniversaries and the work conferences, it becomes overwhelming and it fills up extremely quickly. And so I want you to take a second and think about, what if I did it the other way? What if I planned my perfect year, as Dan calls it, and you do it backwards, right? You take that same bowl and you fill it with the boulders and the big rocks first. These are your non-negotiables. These are the things that you're going to do anyway, or you would be upset if they didn't happen, right? Put those in first. And then put in the smaller pebbles, those smaller events, those negotiable events, right? Fill your bowl for the year. So Dan does this planning every single December. Fill your bowl for the year. And then you can add in the sand. You can add in those details. And guess what? There's going to be so much more room when you have these big boulders, these smaller pebbles. There's a lot of space around these rocks to fill and backfill all of that sand. Whereas if you filled all of that sand and added all your rocks on top, it's never going to fit. And so the concept and the idea here is you build your perfect year by inputting all of the most important and large dates, right? These are the things that you cannot go without. And then you start to fill in your negotiables, your family vacations, your extra work trips, those types of things, right? Sales calls with clients, a new course that you want to take. Those are your pebbles, your smaller rocks. And then as your year goes on, you're going to fill it with sand. We always find things to fill our time. And so we want to make sure that the most important things are scheduled in so they 100% happen. And it will actually lead us and leave us with more time in our schedules for spontaneity, for creativity, for the ability to do really fun things that we like, because we have all the most important things already taken care of. So you build yourself your perfect year, and then you start to build in your calendar as you go. And as you've built this in, you go back and you break it down even further and you create what's called the perfect week. And so in your week, every single week, you can sit down and you can look at, what are the big things that were a part of my perfect year this week, if anything. And you can start to build out what your week is going to look like. Right? So maybe you have a 9 to 5 job. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, that's taken up. Right? And maybe you have a half an hour commute on either side. So 8:30 to 5:30, that's taken up now. Right? And maybe you have to get up at 7:30, get the kids ready for school and all of that. So 7:30 to 5:30, that's taken up. And then you start to fill in, the activities in your evening. So maybe you have some sort of hobby that you do, and then the kids have some sort of sports a couple of nights. Right? So you fill all of that in. Then you start to take a look at, when are the times that I can work on my business? When are the times that I could do my other hobbies? When are the times that I can fill that sand in throughout the week with those smaller details and things that are going to help me push my business forward? And then you start to create this calendar that you have control of. right? That you have the ability to influence. And the peace of mind that this gives you to know that you could just look at your calendar and know what you need to be doing and where you need to be is liberating, right? No more are you thinking about, oh, later on, I have to get this task done and I have to figure out when I have time to do that. No, you have dedicated time in your week to achieve the things that you need to achieve, to get the things done that you need to get done, right? And so I go as far in my calendar most of the time to schedule things in like lunch breaks, right? I like to get a half an hour in to go cook some food, grab some food, chill for half an hour, and just eat my food, right? I'll watch a video while I'm doing it, whatever it is. Going to the gym. I go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week, depending on the week. So I schedule that in to make sure that that happens because it's important to me. Because without your health, you have nothing, right? If you're tied up in a hospital bed or a long-term care facility, nothing else matters. You can't do anything else. You can't serve anyone. You can't achieve your BHAGs. So make sure you prioritize your physical health as well, whether that's going for walks, playing pickleball, playing soccer, another sport, going to the gym, whatever it is for you, make sure you get that in there. You prioritize that as well. Then you also fill in work sessions. Put your head down and get work done. I call it a deep work session. So you get that session scheduled in, it's going to happen. You check your calendar, you have a deep work session. You can then go to your list of tasks and you can start to check those off and get those tasks done. And it gives you an uninterrupted period where you can get things done. And then you schedule in also all the other things in life that we have to do, right? All the other commitments, all the other places that we need to be. And then whatever's left that isn't sleeping is your time, your guilt-free time to do what you want, to watch Netflix, to go hang out with friends, to play video games, to do your favorite hobby, to knit, whatever it is, right? That's your guilt-free time because you've found time and dedicated time to the rest of the things that really matter, that move the needle forward, that you have to get done. Now you actually have more time for yourself. And you're achieving your goals. And you're working towards those big, hairy, audacious goals. Right? And it becomes this beautiful thing. And lots of people, myself included, thought that it was super stressful in the beginning to even think about filling my calendar and having tons of different things to do and seeing all of the different places that I need to be and things that I need to get done. Well, it's actually just the opposite. It's liberating, it's freeing because my mind isn't as cluttered. I'm not thinking about a million things. At the end of the night, I'm able to sleep better because I know that I've planned for the things that I need to get done. And it's an absolutely beautiful experience. And then I invite you to revisit your perfect weeks, your perfect years, your BHAGs on a regular basis. I recommend monthly or quarterly at least, right? Review how you've been doing in that past month, in that past quarter. Are you making progress towards your BHAG? Did you make it to all the most important events? Are you making progress in your business? Are you ensuring that you are giving sufficient time to your spouse, your kids, the rest of your family? Do you feel like you're fulfilled in those areas? And it allows you to take care of all of the things in your life that you need to be doing while pushing you forward and making progress on that BHAG. And again, if you fall off track, if you find yourself in a position where you're not making the progress you want to make, you have your North Star, you have your BHAG, you know where you're going. And the things that you do to get there, that path that you've created is your guide. That's your path. And you follow that, you work towards your North Star, you're going to get there eventually, especially if you're constantly realigning your course. right? You have no other option. You're moving forward. You're going to get there. And guess what? Even if you don't get there, even if you die trying to do your BHAG, you're probably a whole heck of a lot closer than you would have been without it. You've probably had more impact on the world, on your family, whatever your BHAG involves, than you would have if you did not have that goal. And that's the beautiful thing. It really is about the journey and not the destination. But you need to know where you want to go in order to make that progress, in order to have that incredible journey, in order to see those amazing milestones on the way. And so, in summary, this book has been absolutely fantastic. This is a small part of what's in the book. It's called Buy Back Your Time because it talks about aligning where you want to go in life to your current calendar and schedule and finding the best ways to take advantage of it. But it also talks about how to bring in other people to help you get there. So can't recommend it enough. Again, I've read it multiple times. I recommend you go check it out. I don't know Dan personally. I don't have an affiliation with him, but he's an absolutely brilliant entrepreneur. And I'm probably going to go on to work with him in some sort of capacity, take his coaching, do his mentorship, whatever the case may be. So recommend you check him out. If you have any questions about what I went over today, please feel free to drop a comment wherever you're watching this. And I would love to connect and talk about this because it's something that I'm truly doing in my life and taking extremely seriously and something that's super exciting for me. So always happy to talk about it. So other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time and attention. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Take care for now.